Hi, Jyothi. Thanks so much for joining the show today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure. And to get started, can we get a quick background on your journey in user research?
Sure. I've been in research from past 20 years, right? Within UX research, I've led teams at Yahoo, Twitter, recently at OKX, where I was directly working through the CEO office. Right now, I'm in between roles and building a lot with AI. And I guess we'll chat a lot more about it today. And thank you so
Yeah.
much. Thank you so much for
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Some great companies and yeah, I wanted to have you on because I know you're doing a ton with AI and yeah, AI is like clashing with research these days. I think I hear a lot of different takes. I hear a lot of product people like, "Why we don't need research anymore. We'll just use synthetic research or like AI-led interviews." And I think any researcher is gonna have a problem with that. Probably rightfully so. There's bias introduced when there's not like a neutral researcher in there. But I also heard a take recently from a well-known researcher of, hey, if you're not doing enough rigor in your research, don't do it at all because bad research is going to steer the product in the wrong direction. How do you think about that?
Okay. I think the biggest thing I will say is research and like the rigor and the no rigor are not the opposite again, right? Like, so it's more about do you want to be part of the conversation where the product decisions are being made, or do you not want to be part of it? That's the biggest question. And this is something that I have seen again and again, where researchers get stuck with methodology is what I own. I'm going to do a perfect, define perfect, right? Like a perfect for a product manager would be I went and talked to someone, right? And that's it, right? Like versus for a qual researcher, maybe I spoke to these many people, I decoded the transcripts. Neither one, the answer is somewhere in the middle, right? And I want researchers to take themselves out of I'm gonna do the perfect research to more about what is the decision they're trying to make in terms of the decision, right? What's the product decision? And then work backwards from there and say, what's the value I can add immediately into the process? And if rigor is your jam, do it, right? And convince the people of the decision, not about your rigor. Rigor is something you own it, right? You don't, but what is not a choice, which I do not like, is I'm going to take myself out of this product decision equation, take a step back because I want to do perfect research. I'm not going to be part of it. That is not an option anymore because as we talked earlier, research just customer voice or research just doesn't exist anymore only with research. It hasn't from a long time. It's everywhere. Two different places. One is there are many people within the company who own customer voice, like the customer success folks, like customer service folks, market research folks, sales who talks to the customers, product managers who went and talked to the customers. So it lives in many places. Second thing, within UX research, we just cannot say, hey, I'm going to do my research, put in the repo. That's it doesn't sit there, right? So I'm going to pause. But those are all many nuances. It's not like rigor versus this are the only two choices. It's we're operating within a business context. There are multiple dimensions, right?
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing from you is like the research is going to get done by you as a researcher or by a product team or by a designer or by an engineer. But like,
Yes.
yeah, someone's going to do research. But then I still see the problem with that is like, a lot of product folks are owning research, which is great, more the merrier. But like, if they're owning the research just to confirm their bias about a new feature that they want to launch because they want a promotion, how do we stop things like that from happening through the appropriate channels of research? Because like, I think what you're alluding to is like these companies are so fast paced, so political, so competitive that people are going to bring their own research to talk to their own subset of users, but that seems so fragmented. And like, I mean, it's funny because I see the same thing at large companies. They're so siloed. But actually, if you look at the maturity framework, like that's actually not that mature in terms of how you should be collaborating around research.
Absolutely. I mean, you cannot preach people and say, I have the perfect methodology, listen to me. The way you do that is you get a part in the equation of decision making and you add something of value through your
Yeah.
work, right? Then people are like, "Oh, this is very interesting. This is what we need, right? Make them feel the value. Do not go and preach PM, don't do the research. I have a better rigor. That is never going to work, right? Get into the equation, add value every single day. That's number one. Number two, get outside of your own mind, right? Like don't be in your own silo saying rigor, 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 methodology, methodology. Think from a business perspective, right? Like there is a decision being made and there is a timeline for the launch, right? So you have to be in that timeline. I would even say an insight that's not delivered on time to the decision is useless. What are you going to do after the launch, right? Like it's already launched. Yes, people may come back. There is always a window. Play in that window and add the best version of what you can, right? The second thing you said is people are going to do research anyways. What are you going to do about it? You cannot go stop them. You cannot go
Yeah.
stop them. You people will do that and they've been doing it. What you can
Yeah.
do is bring the best version of the research that you can. Another thing I've recently been thinking is, guess what? We have AI now. Why don't researchers use that to their advantage? Get the product analytics dashboard, get the access to the, like the customer service tickets. You build that narration, tie up everything, go beyond your call research. Who's stopping you? With
Yeah.
AI, you don't need many people. AI can actually help you with that. Right? Tie things together. I mean, there are cons, we will get to that with AI, but you can actually go beyond your role. Ask,
Yeah.
and recently I've even been asking Claude, for example, to explain to me, hey, how does this work? Right. So I will say, hey, LLM layer, like, what does the harness mean? I don't know. Explain to me, like, draw an architecture diagram for me. And it does. So why wouldn't people, researchers especially, use this to understand other tools, use them for your advantage? So then
Yeah.
you become more valuable.
Yeah. And faster, relevant. What about you? You said research shouldn't just sit in a repo. Totally agree. I mean, that seems like, a dusty old repo is not adding a ton of value. How should it and can it add value though? Like, how do you get people to listen to it?
I think researchers' job most of the time, some researchers, depending on the company, they think I'm gonna do the perfect research, put it in the repo, and my job is done. I'm on to the next study. Because I have
Yeah.
more time now, I could use AI. I'm going to do more research. Wrong. Research doesn't stop at repo, right? Research goes, and you have to go have the conversation to influence people to listen to the research. But again, AI, let's add AI into this equation and say, instead of going and saying a 20-slide deck, which nobody reads, do like a prototype of your research idea and insight, right? Like, so you're saying, XYZ, this behavior can be changed, or like this is the, these are the tweaks you need to make that change. Do 3 different prototypes, take it in the meeting and say, here are 3 ideas that I have. When people see those ideas in action, you will get more traction. And then you're also, as I said, like repo is not the end stop. It's just a storage device. Move beyond, right? Beyond it and go talk to people and make it bite sized. Nobody. And as time goes on, as AI evolves, people have less and less comprehension, right? The AI brain fog is real.
Yeah.
This 50-slide deck
Yeah,
era
yeah,
is.
yeah. No, nobody got time for that. I agree. I think one of the things I want to push back on, just because we've seen it ourselves, is like, yes, use AI in research, but I actually think that's one of the biggest risks. I think AI misses so much nuance. And then, let's say everyone's using Claude. It's hallucinating the same thing to all these research teams. I think it's great for foundational research, just getting an idea of directionally where you want to go. But for synthesis, it does not know the nuance of your users, everything else they're going on, like, and especially when you use it for like some of these AI summary tools and repo tools, we've seen it miss a lot of context. They're just language models. They don't know exactly what's going on in the business case. So the problem with AI is people are going so fast. And I think they're missing context. And maybe it's fine. You say the product team's like, whatever, it'll work itself out in production and people will use it or they won't. But if you're flooding customers with non-validated products, that's a longer term issue that could be arising from skipping that rigor in a sense.
I do agree with you in many ways because I myself, as an end user, have been bombarded with many products and I'm feeling exhausted with, am I supposed to test these products and give you feedback? Like what am I, right? Let me
Yeah.
just say that. But second thing is, it is inevitable right now, right? Like, so many people are building within that, like the industry is changing as a whole. We are somewhere in a very jumbled up state. That being said, LLM does have a lot of challenges, but it also has a lot of plus points, right? So what it does within the research, there are 2 groups of people, again, very broadly. People who use ChatGPT initially put threw all their transcripts in and saw the output and is like, not good, and just turned off from it. And then there are people, I'm seeing a lot of people who are looking at the research process as a whole, right? Take
Yeah.
your whole process, right? Start with, okay, I do need to do recruitment. I I'm going to do the transcripts, I'm going to do the interview. In each of those steps, I think it is for each researcher to find out what's the balance. What's the balance between where does the researcher play versus where does the AI play? It's not researcher only, it's not AI only. I think
Yeah.
it's finding that balance is where the industry should be and where everyone should be experimenting. And I don't have a perfect answer. I do agree with you that if you just give all the transcripts to an LLM, it is going to only give you the average. It's going to smoothen out the edges, like where if there is a particular quote from a user, it just doesn't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for now, in my mind, the solution is the researcher has to make that judgment. That's where researchers are. But as agents evolve, I do think, there may be much more better place where AI can do much more. But LLMs as is, I don't think it's AI only versus researchers only. It's a hybrid right now, and researchers have to use their judgment, but not just in one step, in the process, right? Look at the whole process. And like doing the interview, for example, I am not a huge fan of AI doing the interview because I cannot see what Alex's, like emotions are, right? It's very hard. The tech is not there yet, but not to say it won't be there tomorrow. But for now, we have to adopt and kind of say, where is the balance, right?
Yeah. I think you touched on, yeah, I agree. Like assess your whole process, zoom out. Totally agree there. I think you also touched on something that I totally agree with, like the amount of AI slop I'm seeing in products. I think like where's the thought process between, like you look at the Apples of the world or the Amazons that took 20 years to really think through stuff, or Apple really hasn't even invested in AI. They're sitting on the sidelines being like, you all fight it out and we'll just, one of you pay us to be in Siri. Like the pace is exhausting these days. And I think it's overwhelming. And I don't see like research is almost taking a back seat and just holding on while like, everyone's head down in AI, which to me means teams are further from talking to users than ever. Like if they're just in the cycle of AI and keeping up on the newest models takes a lot of time and effort. What are you forgetting right now? The user. And I see it in products just as you do. So how do you tell people to think about that? Because it just seems like it's almost broken right now with like the AI
It is
FOMO.
broken.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is broken now, and I worry about the user fatigue. I, as a user, I'm
Yeah.
fatigued. I gave up
Same.
on some companies who release new features every single day. I kind of felt
Yeah.
very exhausted. I mean, I also do newsletter where I use every single tech. I am exhausted. I am into AI. I'm exhausted. So imagine someone going through this. So what I would say is, I think user research again, if innovative user researchers, not the ones who are like very stuck with rigor is my thing, I'm not going to do anything. That is interesting. But the ones who want to innovate, who are ready to jump in, I see this as an excellent opportunity. Build a matrix or like build like a framework to say everybody, whoever launches, let them launch. Okay. Let them launch, collect all that information, how fatigued users are. So to bring the balance back, right? I'm not saying be the person who's like always saying, hey, AI launches are all bad. You're not going to go anywhere
Yeah. Right. Right.
in this environment. Bring the what user researchers are very good at is bringing the user's emotional side of things and the fatigue side of things, right? Like bring those up to kind of build the point that you need a little bit of gates for testing with the user and carve a space for yourself within that, right? Like show the exhaustion and say, maybe let's do some beta user testing, which were all there, right? Like in all
Mhm.
major tech companies, we've had like beta testing and things like that. All of that is like skip right now. Like
Yeah.
anything is like going to the user. So maybe bring those things back, and UX researchers can get a spot by showing these things that here is what's working, right? Some launches are working, some are sticking, some are not sticking. Why are they sticking, right? And let's take those ingredients and bring it slightly a little bit back. Right now it's like 100 releases. Maybe we balance it out to some 10 meaningful releases, right? And you kind of balance it out. Don't be the person to say zero releases. Don't be the person we should do 1,000 releases. Be the user voice now. I think everything is an opportunity, but UX research needs to jump into that moment and do those things.
Yes.
Be opportunistic, right? And use the AI to drive what's good for the user.
Yeah. And yeah, I agree. It's funny. We were like, let's debate today. And I just
And we
agree.
both are agreeing
Yeah.
today.
I don't
Yeah.
really have much to disagree with. What last question is like, what advice do you have for people that are like, maybe I should get into user research, like trying to come out of school, really finding this an interesting subject. And you kind of touched on it there, but like, what's kind of that longer term advice you have for like, hey, this career is changing. How's this going to be in the next 5 or 10 years, and what should they focus on to get that far?
So I actually, I'm going to be very honest. I don't know where UX research is going to be. I've done many things in my life. One thing from my own personal experience is number one quality for anyone to have is flexibility, right? Don't be stuck to a lane just because, don't be like, I have a PhD. I did my thesis in this. This is my lane.
Yeah.
The thing in the whole industry right now is everything is blurring. Engineers are complaining every single day that someone else is coming into my code base and doing this, right? Like versus designers are like just last week, there was a huge release for design and everyone is like design is gone, design is cooked. Is it? Not really, right? Like so everyone's roles are all blurry. Nobody knows where the future is heading, but who is going to make it in this are people with flexibility. So
That's
anyone fresher who's coming in, come, yes, have a lane, learn the fundamentals, is what I would say. Fundamentals still, first principles thinking, fundamentals still matter. Learn how to do the transcripts with hands. Yes, I know it sounds stupid in this world, but you learn a lot of nuances. Do it, but also learn how to use AI, right? But be flexible, is what I would say. It sounds very like preachy, but I think that is more important right now rather than perfecting a methodology or anything like that. Understand both worlds and figure out what the future can look like. And these are the people who will also figure out what the future will be versus us, like people who have been in it and we have maybe have more mental barriers,
yeah.
right? Like due to our own ego. I do think the newer folks can learn both and create a new world with lesser mental barrier. That's how I
Yeah, I agree. I think they do have an advantage of like the old way
yeah.
isn't stuck in their mind, and flexibility is absolutely needed. I think that's great advice. Like shit's gonna change, and if you have some one way you do things and you're hurt when that changes, when an AI tool can do that in 3 seconds, yeah, that's not the right attitude to have. So I totally agree, Jyoti. Well, yeah, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing these insights. I agree with pretty much everything you said.
Me too. I wish it was more of a debate, but I think most of us are like in the same space. We don't know everything we are trying to figure out. But thank you so much. It's been wonderful chatting with you.
Yeah, and where can people go to follow you and find what you're working on?
Okay, I have jyotivenkat.com where I have all my repo, all the work that I do is open source, so anybody can download. So I
Cool.
have something interesting called Research Repo. What I have done is I used Andrej Karpati, who's like a very famous researcher, AI researcher. I've done taking repo and building a wiki, a dynamic wiki that you can actually give it to product managers or designers. So you don't be the sole owner. It becomes like bite-sized information that's accessible to everyone. I
Nice.
have system architecture, taking the whole research process end to end and seeing what's the role of human and AI. Again, all it's something that I have written from my perspective. All of that is available. All the code, if I have built a system, is available. So it's all on jyotivenkat.com. So people can go there and follow me.
Awesome. Yeah, go check that out, folks. And thanks again for joining.